doesn't follow the same rule. Except it still kind
Mhm.
of falls into the text or sharpshooter fallacy. With the way you worded it earlier and the way you worded it later, you said it might avoid that. It implies that you are building the premise from the conclusion. You saying, well, because it could cause a problem with the conclusion. Therefore, I'm going to add this extra quantifier. That was my problem with it. It sounded like a text or sharpshooter fallacy, and it seems like I was right.
So I don't really believe in fallacies like this. So I mean, you just claiming that they're fallacies aren't really going to help me determine if they're true or false. Do you
Uh,
think that it's true or false? And if you
so
think it's or you're not sure, and if and that's fine. You can say you're not sure. I'll help you motivate it. I'll do it if you think it's false too.
Yeah, so when I say a Texas sharpshooter fallacy, I believe in fallacies because these are like valid and invalid logical reasoning, and I can explain what a Texas sharpshooter fallacy is if you like.
I know what it is. I'm not. That's not the issue, and I don't think that people then have a great understanding of how to apply them, anyways. But like I said,
I agree.
I don't really think that's going to be helpful here. I think what's helpful here is you determining your stance on this proposition.
Yeah, and judging with the way you uh, went about creating this what do you call it? This argument, I would say it's fallacious due to the fact that it uses a Texas sharpshooter fallacy. So it kind of ties into my stance on this. And what I try to do ultimately with a lot of arguments is I try to find the fallacy. I don't always do that, but I try to. That makes my response a lot stronger, in my opinion. I have like an actual
I
thing to
always,
critique. So when I
I
yell out Texas sharpshooter fallacy, I'm actually critiquing something rather than just being like, "Oh, it doesn't make sense."
yeah, I really don't agree with that approach because you could find out that you affirmed certain propositions, and then those propositions you can make inferences from, and it had nothing to do with like the way that you structured how you got there. You just found that you affirmed them. So you're asking me to provide like reasoning for each one, and then you're assuming that I'm starting from a conclusion which was not true. I
I
like
actually didn't assume that based on like nothing. I assumed that based on the fact that if you're going to call it an assumption, based on the fact that you specifically said it might indicate. I didn't. That's why I asked you, what is your reason for this? Why is it necessary? And you gave me the response. It's necessary because it might lead into an infinite regression. That was your own words. I'm sure you used the word might, so maybe it's a little more loose. But regardless, this is where I got my perspective on it.
okay, well, I recapitulated a different way of saying it so that you didn't feel like it included that. Like I think the question you asked was just kind of strange in the first place. So
Sure. I mean, I find a fallacy with this. So this is one reason I can't fully accept it. We can
okay,
move on to the other
premises.
end, right?
First of all, premises aren't even things that can be fallacious.
It's very interesting. Fallacies can. Well, my bad. Premises cannot be fallacious.
Yeah,
Okay. So if I say my first premise is all monkeys are purple, is that fallacious?
yeah. No,
It's not fallacious.
no, it's just a false proposition. Fallacies are about inferences.
Interesting. I mean,
Inferences are
regardless,
like
this
things
isn't.
that are like done in terms of like an argument.
Yeah, I'd want to look more into this. But regardless, this is not a specific premise-based thing, right? It's not specifically for this premise. It's for the whole argument. It includes your conclusion and your premise. Without your conclusion, this fallacy literally doesn't work.
What fallacy?
The texture sharpshooter fallacy.
Yeah, obviously, because you're trying to say that the whole point of calling things fallacies, you're saying it's improper reasoning. You're
That's right.
saying premise one is fallacious.
Well, no, the whole argument is fallacious.
I'm okay. What is false about premise one? Let's just start with that. Do you think it's
Yeah.
false? Do you think it's true?
So we were talking specifically about the necessity for that word, and then you gave me your reason for why it's necessary. You said it might be to avoid infinite regression, etc.
I didn't use
That
necessity.
reasoning right
The
there.
word. I don't agree that this is even like an applicable question.
Sure. Regardless, you engaged with it. Why didn't you say
I
that
know.
from the start?
I told you that from the start.
Then why did you say it might avoid an infinite regression? Why did you say that then?
I thought that. Look, it's. I'm not really sure the point of you asking this because it's a very weird question to ask in the first place. So I'm trying to make sense of what you're asking. And so the best thing I came up with is, why is this an important feature to include? And I said, because the inclusion of it, for one, it's when I just think about the direct slash indirect. One of them is something I would definitely just affirm. The other one I'm not so sure on affirming. So I'd rather include the one I want to affirm. That's the first thing. The second thing is yes, there might be if you're going to use induction and you think that there's another argument that you have in mind that leads to, like, there can't be infinite regresses. You might structure your induction differently, even though both inductions work.
Yeah, it seems like a touch sharpshooter fallacy. But like I said, we can move on to the next bit because we're, I guess, going in circles. This is where ask how deep is this word? It kind of like revolves around the same word. What was the second part I did say though? I said unnecessary quantifier. What was the second part?
Well, that was the second part.
I'm talking about the three things I said to your first part, not like the probability stuff, not that stuff.
Yeah, this is what your message says. As for the first part, that is several ways to go about it, like pointing out the unnecessary quantifier, the possible contradictory element, and a counter syllogism or argument that simulates the rules of this one.
Sure,
That's
okay.
your verbatim
Right.
message.
So, possible contradictory elements. I believe I was referring to the fact that if you say everything in your direct experience, and then you say
Mhm.
in your definition, the universe is in my direct experience, are you able to experience the entirety of the universe, or are there parts of the universe that you cannot experience in this current moment, and
Yeah,
has and have
I'm not
never?
experiencing the entire universe.
So under this premise, that means that those like elements that you're not experiencing, they up for debate and whether they have a an explanation or not.
Yeah, I don't need to.
Oh shit, my bad. Say that again.
Yeah, I don't need to experience the whole thing
Why not?
because induction doesn't require you to have every single piece of sampling to make a judgment on.
Your specific statement was everything in my direct experience. So if it's not in your direct experience, then you either can't use that statement,
Okay,
you
the
need to change
argument
it.
as I specifically said, was the things I consider about in my direct experience have explanation.
Right, the things in your direct experience. I'm just making it more brief. Is that not the same thing?
Well, I mean, it might be very similar. I'm just saying that that's the verbatim sentence that I said. Now, I also don't think that this premise is an induction. It's saying the ones that I have experienced, they've all had an explanation. So if I have some future experience, I have some reason to think that that one will as well.
You said if you have a future experience.
Yeah, it's in my direct experience. Yeah. That's just what the induction is. That's like you don't reject induction, I assume.
No, I don't. The main idea here is you said everything in your direct experience, which to me indicates that everything that's not in your direct experience does not hold this rule of having an explanation.
No, that doesn't follow.
So I'm very interested about how you make your premises follow each other. You say everything in my direct experience has an explanation, and that explanation has an explanation, right? This means
Mhm.
that everything that's not in a direct experience is not known to have an explanation.
Not via this induction. Yeah, that's right.
Right, so in this case, that quantifier either doesn't make sense because you're applying it to the whole universe, or either the quantifier is very much exactly the way you said it, and you can apply it to the whole universe. It's one or the other. And since you're applying it to the other universe, to the rest of the universe, it's probably that the quantifier doesn't make sense to me. I would see this as a
What's the
contradiction.
Yeah, that's certainly not a contradiction. The first thing is the the thing I'm quantifying over are my direct experiences. That's what's being quantified. That's what the sampling is from. Okay. Then there's just things that are part of it. And you
I
just
recall,
universalize, and that's what induction does. It universalizes over some domain.
I recall you gave a similar response to my other arguments with the category error and your other argument that you gave about most people. Most of your responses doesn't actually address the problem I give. You just disagree with it, which kind of
Yeah, I
like
mean,
puts me in like a point
I don't
where
think they're
I
proper.
don't know where else to go with the arguments besides repeating it or re-explaining it, which then just leads to more negation.
I
Um,
mean, look, you don't really tell me much about it. Like you say, like it would be helpful if you just say, this is true, this is false. Like what you do is you try to give some reasoning behind, like, it's not true because of this. But rather than doing that, I'd rather you just say, I don't think this is right.
I mean, that's
Premise
pretty much
one
what I'm
seems
saying,
wrong.
right?
Okay.
Well, that's pretty much
So,
what I'm saying. I'm saying premise one seems wrong because it's contradictory to what you are holding to the
okay.
universe.
Right. There's no universe in premise one. Premise one does not say anything about a universe.
Yeah, premise two does.
Okay, so which premise do you want to look at? Premise one or premise two?
Well, we're looking at an individual premise. Your premise two contradicts premise one.
Well, it definitely does not. But um, premise two is just a universal instantiation. Oh man. Um, premise two is literally the universe is something I am considering about in my direct experience. You think that's false?
You said that's premise two.
Yes, that's premise two.
Repeat premise two.
The universe is something I am considering about in my direct experience.
Yeah, I would say this part is false because you literally told me universe. You can't experience the whole universe directly.
I don't, okay. I don't think you need to have an entire direct, the entire, sorry. I don't think you need to have the whole thing in front of you or part of your experience to experience the thing.
That's
Are you
a
saying you're
very
not
interesting
experiencing
statement.
being on planet Earth just because you can't get the whole thing right now?
I'm experiencing being a part on a part of planet Earth. I'm not on the entirety of planet Earth.
Okay, you tell me when you what would you consider you have a whole experience of?
I have generally a whole experience of my house. I've been to all parts of it.
Um, well, no, because you definitely haven't.
How so?
Have you ever been on the roof?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever been on the outside of? Do you have a basement?
No, I don't.
Have you ever seen the? Oh, you don't have. Okay. Have you ever
No,
seen?
I'm specifically talking about the inner part of my house, actually.
I mean, I highly doubt you've seen every single inch on the inside of your house. I've
I
seen
wouldn't
a
say
good portion of
seen,
it.
but yeah, no, I said generally I have a whole experience in my house. Generally, the word generally was used.
And
Oh
as you're
wow.
moving, I mean, I don't really think that's really how. Look, as you move through things, I'm experiencing parts of it as I move. You know, my experience is where I'm at right now, and things change as I move through them.
I mean, I could even give another simple thing. I could say I have a whole experience of the out.
And I regret it. I feel like so disrespected
It's
intellectually by
clean
this
your
dude,
teeth
bro.
and
Yeah, bro.
recommend
Any,
that you
listen, bro. In the UK, they have great healthcare. They have great dental healthcare. It's okay, but
No, no, I would like to
I
thank you
would
because you've been like
I would
incredibly reasonable and not just
I would
like trying to understand
yeah,
from two perspectives, right? Because that's
yeah,
what's
because
useful.
like if I'm gonna be honest, bro. If I was a European Christian,
Like around me, specifically
Mm-hmm.
in places that I could technically see.
Uh, okay, let me ask you something. Do you think people can make inferences about the planet Earth even though they haven't seen the whole planet?
Yeah, for sure.
And are those on the basis of induction?
Yes,
Why can they do it?
because it's logical.
Um, yeah, I get
well,
that. That's what you think. That's why you're saying it makes sense. I'm saying why can they do it about planet Earth?
Oh, what you mean? Why can I do it about planet Earth?
Look, you seem to think that I can't do it for me for the universe, which I mean that's just rejecting a lot of modern science, anyways. But um, I'm just saying I'm making the same kind of induction about the universe. You don't think that that can. You think it doesn't apply there, but you think it applies about the planet. Why?
No, no, I never said that. You can do it to the universe, but your premises doesn't reflect that. Your premises suggest that you have a direct experience of the entirety of the universe. You
No, it
never said
doesn't.
anything about inference in
It
it.
does not. It doesn't say the
Read your
whole
second
thing.
premise. Read your second premise. Read
Okay.
your first premise and then your second premise.
Well, right now we're just considering the second premise. The second premise said the universe is something I am considering about in my direct experience. It does not say the whole thing. There's no holes or parts
Look at
at
the
all
first
in the
premise.
argument.
Look at the first premise.
The first premise is the things I consider about in my direct experience have explanations. So the next thing I consider about my direct experience will have an explanation.
The
There's no
things I
holes or
experience in
parts
my
there.
direct experience, right? So
The
when you
things I
say that the
consider about in my
universe,
direct experience.
so when you say the universe is in my direct experience, that
Hmm.
implies it has to be in your direct experience.
Yeah, it is.
Okay,
It
so you
doesn't imply
can
it needs to be
directly
a whole.
interact with a planet that's far away that our lenses haven't picked up on.
I never claimed that.
You said it's in your direct experience. That's what direct experience means.
No, it doesn't. Direct experience is something like you have an immediate sensation of whatever the object is.
Exactly, exactly. Do you have an
Hmm.
immediate sensation of a planet far, far away?
No, I don't need to. Just like I don't have an immediate sensation of China.
The
And
question
yet I
isn't
can
if you
make that
need
inference
to.
about
The
Earth.
question is, do you? And if you do not, I agree, you don't. For inference, you don't. However, your premises do not reflect that. If you read your
Yes, you're
premises
right.
out
It
loud,
doesn't. It never says that. I don't know why you're pressing this point. It doesn't say it does. You're saying,
yeah,
oh,
exactly.
you need to do this, but it never claims to do that.
Your premises suggest that the universe is in direct experience to you, like the whole of it.
Yes. Yeah. Just like many people would say the planet is in their direct experience. And it certainly doesn't mean that they're feeling China if they're in America.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree with the. So many people say that makes it logical. I don't see that as a good argument. Even if they did,
I'm saying
I still
it's a
That's not even
wouldn't.
what
common
he's saying. What the
vernacular.
fuck is wrong with you?
What was that?
That's not what he's saying. He said it just now, but he's saying that people mean it in a certain way that is reflective of what he means, which is he doesn't mean he's feeling the entirety of the cosmos. It's just like a part of it, right? Which would be kind of that thing anyway.
Sure, but
Yes.
his premise is not reflecting that. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. Look, I'm gonna just post it into the chat. So I mean, especially since there's other people in here. It doesn't
Sure.
say that.
It says direct experience. You define
Yes, it
direct
doesn't say any.
experience. You define direct
And
experience, something that you can have a sensation of. Can you have a sensation of a planet far, far away? No, you cannot. Is that a part of the universe? Yes, it is. I'm literally giving you induction right there. And you just disagreeing with it.
it
That's
does.
all you
I
do.
don't agree that people, in order to have a direct experience of something, that you need to have the entirety of it in your direct experience. No, I don't agree
It's
with
not
that.
about it's not about what you agree with, it's about what your premises are saying. That's what
Well, I
I'm
think,
more concerned
look,
about.
if that's what you think, that's
You're lost,
fine.
bro.
I think that if that's the way you view things, you're probably going to be the one a little bit more out of touch than I am, and that's fine. Look, then maybe you don't accept the argument. It's like not that big of a deal to me.
Like real quick, what do you think the premise is using to express anything? Like, what do you think shapes the actual thing that is being put into the premise, like the actual text?
Wait, hold on. Are you talking to me?
Yeah,
Yeah, what's your username?
me, like literally,
Yeah.
me.
I mean, interesting.
Yeah.
Is it cool if I call you man?
Sure.
Alright. What was your question now?
I'm saying, what do you think shapes the text, right, that is being used to express the premise, the argument?
What do you mean what I think shapes?
Like, clearly it's some sort of tactical communication, like syntax. We're using, like, sentences to communicate some sort of concept, some sort of idea, right? What do you think also shapes that, right?
I'm gonna be honest, I'm not understanding your question. What shapes our experience?
What
Is
I'm
that what
getting
you're
at,
asking?
okay, what I'm getting at is whenever you communicate using language, using text, whatever else, there's gonna be context, right? The utilization of that
So,
thing is kind of what shapes the meaning that you're supposed to interpret. If he's telling you that people often use it in a certain way, which means what he's telling you, or sorry, what he's telling you that it means, you can't just keep saying, well, like, no, that's not what it means. It's like, he's giving you a
that's not
reason
what he
as to
said
why you're
though.
supposed to interpret it in a different way. That is exactly what he said.
No, he defined direct experience as something that you can have an actual sensation of. He said that to me. That's when I asked him, does he have a sensation of a planet far, far away? And he said no. So I'm like, that doesn't work for the definition he gave, which is in his premise. So it contradicts his premise.
No. If anything, that would imply more what he was saying. He gave you an example of what he means when he says that by saying, like, do you think people, when they say they can feel the planet, they mean like they can feel China from America, right? And after that, you just keep repeating the same thing. Like, I'm not sure how you
So
even
you just said
get what
no
the
to what
issue
I
is.
said. If you
No,
say that I define direct experience as I have some sort of physical sensation of it, do you think that this means you have a physical sensation of a planet far, far away that you can't see with any lens?
okay. Do you think that the initial definition he gave
Okay.
is like
So you
actually
gonna
sort of what
not answer
the?
the question?
I'm trying to answer.
All right, sure, go ahead.
I'm just like, if you want me to phrase it a different way, it's like the definition he gave is not incompatible with the further clarification he gave you, right? So again, it's like You're drawing some interpretation. It's just a matter of like you drew the incorrect interpretation. That's it. Like, yes, he's a human being. He doesn't experience the entirety of the cosmos. I'm not sure why you thought to be like hyper literal about what he said. And then he even gave you an example. I don't think everybody else is like disagreeing with what he's saying. So like, it's just you.
Right. I mean, it doesn't matter what everybody does.
It
But
actually, in
regardless,
this case, it actually kind of does.
it doesn't. But you literally said I'm disagreeing with the definition when I affirmed his definition, and I said with the
No,
definition he provided, which was along the lines of whatever is within my sensation that I can have a physical sensation with.
you
That is what direct experience means. He cannot have a physical sensation with a planet far, far away.
you couldn't have
Yeah.
been affirming his definition because otherwise there wouldn't have been an issue there. Like he would have just said like, yeah, okay, you're right, or he would have just argued something else. There wouldn't have been a conflict there. The problem here is that it does matter what other people say and what other people think because again, the usage of these words, right, by the society that actually employs them, is what gives you any reference as to what they mean, right? Because when I say hello, you don't think that I'm insulting you. You think that I'm greeting you, starting a conversation, begin a dialogue, whatever you want to say, right? And that's shaped off of the societal understanding that we have of that word, right? So again, if he's telling you like
Eventually.
people interpret, sorry, if he's telling you people interpret X from what I just said, and you're interpreting Y, then you're just clearly wrong, right? Based on the actual usage, on the function of what you're using.
Okay, so I'm not sure if I'm saying this really wrong, but I specified that he gave a definition, and I'm using his definition to show him how it's not
I'd rather kill myself. I'm
consistent.
done with this.
All right. Elbita, would you like to go to this third part?
Sure.
Oh, shit, that's gonna be more brain power to do. A counter syllogism.
Yeah, there could be counter arguments. I don't think that's like a problem.
Yeah. Everything that has an explanation has an explanation. Therefore, whatever explanation is for the universe also has an explanation.
Sorry, what?
Whatever has an explanation has an explanation. So the universe having an explanation, that explanation also has an explanation.
Okay. Can you motivate that premise?
Do you not agree that every explanation has an explanation?
No, I don't agree with that.
Interesting. Because that's your first premise.
No, it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I just took out the element of everything in my direct experience.
Yes, and that doesn't mean that everything has an explanation.
Yeah, sure. So that kind of goes back into the first two faults with it. So in order for this to work, you'd have to understand the first two contradictory elements. Well, contradictory element in the second part. The first one just being unnecessary to a degree. And that's why I say this argument is kind of like fallacious. It's built to try and avoid certain responses.
Yeah, see, I think that the way that you think about these things is very motivated. So, yeah, look, if you feel very, very inclined to reject things because the conclusion includes God exists, and you don't really care about how you get there or why you end up with that, then sure, like, look, you can believe whatever you want, man.
I mean, of course. I would say it's actually oppositely motivated. Because you don't have to believe this part, but I would really wish to believe in God, especially the God I used to believe in. It used to give me an element of life that I don't have anymore, that I used to enjoy. Plus the community, plus family members, all those things. It would make life way better if I still believed. Then there's also the case of like the afterlife. It'd be so comfortable to know that whatever I do here, at the end of the day, I'm still gonna have more to do when I die for infinity because there's heaven. It's a very comfortable thing to believe in. It's something I wish I could believe in. It's something I wish it was true.
Were
but
you a
I cannot
Christian?
believe it. No, it's not.
Are you a Muslim?
That's right.
Did it make you comfortable to know that some of the people that you loved very dearly would be in hell?
Oh wait, when I was a
When you were a
believer,
Muslim? Mm-hmm.
I actually didn't consider that when I was a believer.
Because that doesn't make me very comfortable at all. Makes me very uncomfortable.
Yeah, I would assume so. It would make me uncomfortable to a degree, but I wouldn't believe that everyone is gonna go to hell in my immediate family.
Actually, this brings up
Yeah.
a very interesting
My
point.
brother was
If
speaking over you. What were you saying?
ah, I was saying it brings up a very interesting point about the concept of heaven and hell. From that perspective, if you go to heaven and you have a loved one in hell, well,
Right.
I mean, how could you experience heaven that way? And if it puts you in like some kind of hypnotic state by just being in heaven, then is it really you going to heaven at that point, or just something
I
that mimics
don't.
what you are?
I love that
I think we
question.
can
It's
be.
something I thought about quite often. Well,
I think we
after
can be
believing
different
that.
people. And look, you clearly are a different person, quote unquote, like have different thoughts about the world than you did when you were a kid. And yet you still think you're the same guy that was the kid.